Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 26 of What If Naruto was put through hell and adopted by the Raikage. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends and social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto was exiled from the Asusuke clan, and enjoy that guys over on Anime King 3. And also stay tuned for a brand new episode coming over Anime King, which I hope you guys do enjoy. And remember, if this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all for your help and your support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking about all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, Naruto was currently in the waterfall of truth, as he found his identity, his other half inside. But he was more than one. There was a lot of them. All of his personas, all of his clones that he had created to become his, well, guides, his watch, all of them were there. They all beat the living crap out of him. He could not defeat them as he was thrown into the waterfall of truth. On their way returning back towards the village, they stop as they enter a bathhouse. But then Naruto felt something as he made his way after leaving B. There in the bathtub, as he made his way to find Sasuke and his team, as Naruto took on Sasuke and knocked him away. Samara was also there as well, as she saw him. The girl started to lose control, as she was literally changing, as Naruto instantly knocked out Teiwaya and Karen, as he sent his clone back to them, to take them towards Yujito, as he told her to keep a watch over them. Well, she did not listen and she made her way out. As Samara had transformed this mass of chain and flesh, the curse seal on her was rather dangerous. She attacked him as she tried to put him down, but Killer Bee came and knocked her away, as Sasuke started to take on Naruto. Before Naruto could actually fight Sasuke for real, Sasuke was knocked back by Minato. Unaware of Naruto's new changes, he did not notice that it was his son. As he looked towards him, he thought that he had saved this person from Sasuke, as he didn't pay too much mind as Naruto did not say anything. As he went and he subdued Katsumi, as he brought her back with him, as a path that came with him as well, took Sasuke, as Itachi wanted to finish him off himself. It was then that Kakashi and the others arrived, as Kakashi took notice of the man, Torun from Land of Iron. He had saw the things that happened, and Sakura had saw the snakes. As Yakumo was unconscious from the battle, they had made their way back to the hotel, where they spoke to Karen. Naruto was able to convince Karen to trust him, as she told him what he needed to know, as he went back to the hidden Cloud Village. Kakazu and Hidan were waiting for a long while, as no one showed up. They had waited and the team had took the wrong post, and they took a boat. So they weren't going to capture any Jinchurikis, although they couldn't have, given the amount of people that Naruto was with at the moment. As Naruto had sent Karen towards the IT department, as he made his way, they arrived towards the office as Yakumo and the others. They were shocked, as they did not know. As Yakumo was crying as she looked towards him. She never got a chance to tell him back then, but she could tell him now, before she could do, as she heard something. The door was pushed open as someone entered, as it was a woman, long black hair. She shouted at Yakumo to release her husband, as everyone froze at that. Husband? As Naruto sighed. So yeah guys, so it's basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the play structure for yourself. So this will begin this new episode. Silence was never something common in the Raikage's office, given the loud, boisterous person that he was, and his brother B, and many others, so silence was not really there that much. As Naruto was calm, as he looked towards everyone, some of them were shocked, some of them were utterly shocked and some of them were furiously red. Fuming. I said, "Get away from my husband," the woman said, as her hand slowly went towards her pouch. "Before things get messy," she said. "And just who the hell are you to barging like this?" Raikage said, as he snapped to his feet. She turned towards Raikage. "I am Shizuka," she said. She replied with a polite bow. "Daughter of the Netsuko village leader, and of Mifune, the leader of the Iron Land." As Naruto sighed, "And I'm here because Tarna of the Snake and I are meant to be married the moment that I deem him worthy. And there's nothing in him that seems weak, so I deem him worthy," she said. "You know, a marriage is a two-way thing," said Yujito, as she looked towards the girl, who shrugged her off like it was nothing. Since Tarna has no father, he would have wanted to say something, but he could not blow Naruto cover. The honor fall towards Mifune. As the leader of the samurais, he's the one that take on the marriage proposals. And like the samurais are all under my father's rule, he chose strong women for them. So in turn they made birth strong children," she said. "And since I'm his daughter, he chose the best that he could." As she handed over a scroll to Tarna, who slowly read it, before nodded. "It appears so," he said, as he earned shocked looks from Yakumo and Sakura. "However, I was planning on departing tomorrow for the tracking mission. May the marriage wait until I return." "Yes," she said. "But until then, please show me around Kumo and my lodgings for the time being as I wait for you." As Naruto nodded as he walked towards her, he made sure the snakes were calm as she wrapped her arm around his as they walked over the busted door. As everyone was silent as they watched the both of them left, until B started to rap. "Hell yeah, bro's got a girl, and a hot one that swirls. Can't wait for nephews. More rappers and less curfews." As A slowly got up, as Sakura did the same. A nodded towards Sakura, she nodded back. The next second, an iron claw and a chakra-enhanced fist knocked B away. It wasn't until minutes later as everyone was dismissed from the office, and everyone decided to see what the two lovebirds are up to. Sakura was trying her best to hide her pain, keeping her hand over her clothing where the burn marks were underneath. Was it because of those hideous scars? Was that the reason why she wasn't in his mind? Was it because she wasn't strong enough? Maybe he would change his mind if he saw how she acted during the mission. But would he actually go against the order of samurais for love? No, he wouldn't. He was always keen on his words. If he has gone as far as to swear obedience to Mifune, he wouldn't break his word, no matter the cost. She understood that she would never get to be with him. And that was kind of sad, but she understood that. However, as she glanced towards Yakumo, who was kind of wobbling on her feet, her eyes were set on the road, but she was muttering something that Sakura couldn't hear well. "Should. Why her? No, it's true." Her voice was barely a whisper. As Sakura looked towards her with a sorry gaze, Yakumo had plans to confess to Naruto about her feelings. And the moment she figured out who he was, she was so happy. She had gathered all of her courage, but it was for nothing. "Yakumo-chan," Sakura whispered to the girl, who looked back at her. Her eyes were slightly watery. "We will be on a tracking mission with him. You can confess then." As Yakumo's eyes still had a lingering sorrow in them, she glanced down towards her chest, and then glanced towards Sakura's, a thing that made Sakura's eyebrow twitch. "But she's clearly better than me." "In more than one area," said Yakumo. "Maybe, but you have to tell him nevertheless. I mean, what if he doesn't like her and prefers you?" As Sakura suggested that, even though she knew that none of them stood a chance against a more matured woman. A cough made them turn back around as they looked at their other teammates for the mission, Shoko and Mabi. "I was thinking, that we could get to know each other before going on a mission," said Shoko, as she cracked her knuckles. As Mabi rolled her eyes. "Somewhere to sit down and talk, Shoko-chan. They need to rest. Different from us. They walk all the way here, and I'm sure that you're certainly tired." As Yakumo and Sakura's eyes fell on Mabi's chest, as the both of them twitched. As Shoko noticed, I know of a place that sells special milk. As she touched her own chest, Yuguru said that massaging also helps. Mabi rolled her eyes. She then whispered something in Shoko's ear. "What? That's dirty," she said, as she then ran off fast. It took a moment, but then a cry of pain could be heard. "Please excuse her," said Mabi. "She's a nice girl, but she's a bit too direct." As her gaze wandered towards the ramen stand, "I'm sure you're hungry. How about we take a seat and eat something?" The girls wanted to mope some more, but They follow her towards a stall. Some small talking until Sakura asks a question. Excuse me, Mabe-san, but does, him, like anyone? Well, you should probably ask him. He will probably tell you straight out. As Yakumo slammed their chopsticks on the table, I'm going to do it. The next time I see him, I'm going to do what she said. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Karen of the Snakes was looking at the lake of water. They were a pool inside the rock basins, used for later use by the city. Shizuka was next to him, as she looked at the scene with a perplexed expression. This definitely wasn't romantic as the first place. But then again, Karen of the Snakes was strong. No one ever mixed romantic and strong side to side. He just watched as the whirlpool of water was being siphoned, as it was going down a stream, as the genuine team was cleaning it out, making sure nothing contaminated the water. A D-rank mission that every now and then a genuine team had to do, and no one liked it. You are strange, Shizuka said. You seem unfazed by my flirting attempts. She pointed out like it was the most normal thing to say in the world. I grew up surrounded by women, some of them more endowed than you. As Shizuka flinched, what was he saying? And it just rubbed off on me, said Naruto. I really see the external aspect of someone. What really matters is the internal. And sometimes it's wicked. Mostly wicked. Incredibly wicked, he said. She shook her head at his sad tone. I do not think everyone has wicked inside. But, is something bothering you, my betrothed, she asked. He raised a hand as he looked towards his palm. I'm always getting stronger, he said. But how can I defeat foes that are even stronger than me when I'm conflicted with myself? What do you mean, she asked, as she did not understand what he was talking about. I feel different things. Sometimes a shinobi wears a mask to change his perspective of life. But sometimes that mask remains stuck and becomes a shinobi. Ah, she said. I know of something like that. Identity crisis. Sometimes relaxing help. If you want, I can give you a massage, she said. She wasn't joking, and she wasn't thinking about anything else after all. They were not yet married. Well, it wouldn't work, he said. As I said, I got far more stress than anyone else. I'm not exactly alone. I got many more others. As he thought about his battle in the waterfall of truth, there was so many of his other self there. Her eyes narrowed down. Are you feigning madness to avoid the marriage, my betrothed, she asked. Her question came with a bit of anger in her tone, as Naruto laughed at that. No, I promise Mifune-sama I will obey his every order, as long as I, Turn of the Snake, live. If he wishes us married, then I will obey. As his eyes then landed on hers. But I cannot love anyone. Not now anyway. There's too much weight on my conscience. Too much things I have to resolve before. As he whispered that, he recalled the Kaibu words out of everyone else's. It's a pathetic thing you human call love. Eventually, it leads to betrayal, then scorn, then hate, then anger become fury, then fury become revenge. Sweet, sweet revenge. Love was one of them that was holding him back. He kept it at bay, along with his other personalities, his emotions. But certain things changed that. A face, a smile, seeing someone from the past. And his shell was cracking and revealing Naruto from the inside. And he couldn't allow that to happen. He had to kill his enemies. He could not fully open himself until he got rid of his enemies. Shizuka looked at his eyes. He seemed lost in thoughts. Some weights can be shared, she said. No matter how heavy they might be. She reached up and touched his right cheek. I'm not a woman to be babysit, or to be given jewels or golds. So a little weight is nothing for my shoulders, she said, as she looked towards his eyes. His eyes looked similar to her father. Someone who has been through a lot. But yet, he looked older than her father. Like he has been through more than her father could even count. Like he has seen the great wars, everything. As she wondered what horrors did he see, for it to become like this. He grabbed her hand. My weights are mine alone, he said, as he pushed her hand down. And I have to go. Can't let him be angry. Can't let Alpha be angry, he said, as he poofed away after those words. It was the beginning of November. It was time to become one once again. At Raikage Cave, Naruto appeared in the center of the cave, where his other selves were to dispel. One at a time, Hakijo was on his throne. He was playing shogi with Kuro. Both giant snakes smiled at the boy, waving their tails at him. Before it turned back to the task at hand, Hakijo waving at him was something strange. But Naruto said nothing about it. Alpha was the first to disperse. Taijutsu memories flew through him. The insights and knowledge of the movements were depth in his mind already. Beta then poofed away. All the chakra training and the ninjutsu part. All the information flew into his mind. His head started pain already. Gamma then poofed away. The ways of battle entered his mind. Epsilon then poofed away. Torture methods, medical knowledge all flooded into his mind at once. For better in his healing jutsu. Then, Omega, it was his turn. As he was wearing a white lab coat, he looked at Naruto and shook his head. He then poofed away. His knowledge, his love for the young borns, taking care of them, followed by his regret, sadness, knowing that he was not the original, the feeling of knowing that he was gonna vanish one day, and that there was nothing that he could do to avoid it. Omega was the one with the most free time, and he started to think about being a different being, someone different from Naruto. Then the clones, together normal nature injury, disappear. As their memories of just sitting down on the cold rock disperse, he quickly snatched those memories away. They were not important. Then, it was the final clone. Torna, he said, as Naruto looked towards a man that was clad in steel. Let's get this over with. The man who he should have been. The Iron Tracker, Torna, of the Snakes. Torna was not going to back down easy though as he pulled his blade. Kuro and Hakijo watched as he clashed with him. In the end, as Torna came down with a slicing motion after delivering strikes to Naruto. Torna was the one that trained with the Kinjutsu. He had more knowledge in his field, as he was able to deliver several cuts over Naruto's body. But before he could finish it though, Naruto shoved his sword forward and pierced right through him. Poof, he was gone. Torna was a rage. He was the anger, the one that pushed himself and trained fiercely. You should stop using shadow clones, Naruto. For a while, Kuro said. While it does help with their training, I suggest quantity over quality, and in short period of time. As Kuro knew that Naruto uses clones for a long amount of time, months, to the point when they start to gain their own personality, and that wasn't good. Quality always defeat quantity, Kuro said Naruto. He turned his gaze to Hakicho and gave a bow. As he left, he didn't create shadow clones this time around. As Hakijo realized that Naruto vanished, without leaving clones behind. Time skip. As Naruto appeared in the room, as Shizuka was waiting on the bed. Thought you could hide your room from me? She asked. She saw his eyes. He looked so tired, like he hasn't slept in days. But it has just been a couple of hours. No, I suppose not, he says. He sat down, closing his eyes. He wasn't sleeping, he was just resting his eyes. That was what high-level shinobis did, to keep away the sleep deprival. Resting the mind and the eyes. Resting the body, but not fully sleeping. You know you're safe here, right? She said, as she used his arm as a pillow. The only safe place is the dirt on one's own grave, he said. And you seem rather content on marrying me. Do you not have someone that you love? He said. Her face darkened at that. She then replied in a murmur. I had one, but he was killed by Birkins. The man who avenged him turned out to be a half-naked man that was clothed in wolf pelt and was yelling about clean underwear. So I think he was the right thing to do, she said, as she looked towards him. Bound by honor, said Naruto, like a true samurai. But aren't you from Nitsuko village? He asked as he looked towards her forehead protector. Well, my father and mother met a long time ago. She challenged him and he defeated her, and she claimed the Nitsuko village rights for the marriage. So after I was born, I lived there with my mother for a long while. And then I finally went out to meet my father. That is where I met my first love, and where I lost him. I see, said Naruto, as she watched as he tensed a bit. Her father did warn her about this. You're trying to see if I would plunge a kuna in your throat, she said. Trust no one, and perhaps you will live to old age. I'm surprised though, said Naruto, that you caught on to my trail of thought. I'm not the daughter of two strong shinobis just because I'm pretty, she said. Do not underestimate me, my betrothed. As she nuzzled her face on his shoulder. Because I will make you want to marry me by the time that you're back. Which means, I got an entire day to try, she said. He reached up as he touched her hair with his gloved hand. She felt her eyes getting droopy, as she felt so tired that she yawned slightly. She fell asleep right there on his chest. Time skip. When she woke up, she looked around confused. Where the hell, what does she remember? The gut that he had in drugging her. The guts. As she looked through the window, the sun had gone down. That meant she slept for an entire day. A little while before, with Naruto's team, Turna stood at the gates of Kumo, as Kakashi had promised not to speak of his identity to anyone. Kakashi had already departed as he get back to his village, leaving Sakura and Yakumo in his hand. It was his team now. Shoko and Mabe stood silent. As Shoko was in her Chunin outfit, Mabe was in a Jonin one. They had been ordered to keep up appearances as they had the Kumo headband on their forehead, and Sakura and Yakumo had the Kono headband displayed on their forehead. First thing first, he said, I am tired of the snakes. I know my work, and I expect no less than full obeying. Got it? If I say jump, I want you guys to jump. If I say run, I expect to see you run. And if I say anything, I want you to obey. Crystal clear, got it? Yes, Karna-san. Came three of them reply, as Mabe was holding down Shoko's fist. Good. Call me captain while we're on the mission. It's quite standard. So, let's get on it, he said, as he pressed something into each of their palms. It was a small earring that slit her. It was a small snake that moved towards her ear and bit on it to stay there as an earring. Hey, I don't like that, says Shoko, as she tried to get it off, but she was not able to keep it on. Those are my summons, and they will send me a reverse summoning call. In case you guys get into trouble, I can be there to help. And don't try to take them off, Shoko, because if you do, I'll force one of them through your skin. Got it? Shoko stopped her whining as she saw his gaze. She only got that gaze once, and that was from C, when she had mistakenly given him green dye for his clothes. He still hadn't forgiven her yet. Good. Now let's get moving, he said. His first plan was to get towards the sand, to intercept the Akatsuki after B's report. The first few days was rather quiet, as no one really thought that much. The place that they should have been passing through was flowery fields, but the place was cracked and destroyed. Fire was still lingering, barely. It seems like a great battle had happened here. Turna-san, said Sakura. Is this... whoever did this is no longer around, Haruna-san. I don't know why, but they're no longer with us anymore. Good grief! Stop your stick from getting to your head, Tarna. Shoko snapped. I'm sure that you think that you're such a great thing, but in truth, you can't be much stronger than Mabe-san here. Shoko-chan, Yakumo whispered. Karuna-san is strong. Mabe-san said yourself. He was able to fight on equal footing with Jiraiya the Sannin. Shoko spat to the side of the road. Like hell I'll believe that, she said. He always had to be helped through the exercises, and I ain't believing crap until I see with my own eyes. He came to a stop. Shoko-chan, I've never been in Kumo before, so why had you had to help me out, he asked. She had just made a slip with her tongue, but he could not let Lessa pass. She had to understand. Come on, she said. There's no one around us, right? What if there was? What if there was a hidden enemy I had to take by surprise? But now, I have to face and kill, he said. Well, there isn't one, right? Said Yakumo, getting worried. That hardly changes anything. Next time, I'll have to knock you out immediately, he said, as he turned and started to walk once more. Let's get going, said Mabe, as Shoko nodded, as she wondered where the polite, quiet boy of their class went. They were the same age, right? So why was he so much more adult and different from them? Meanwhile, at the hidden ring, Samira felt like she had been electrocuted for the past few hours. In truth, she could not see the seal in her ear around her neck that was slowly forcing the seal in mark back. The only thing she had seen was the dark cylinder that she was in, as she tried to tap into the curse mark power, but the only thing she got was pain, not power. She needed a shower. She was all mucky and sweaty, as she was trying to come to terms with what happened. She recalled that she was fighting against a Kumo ninja, who was trying to keep her away from her brother. Her eyes did not adjust to the darkness that were around her. She had to be blindfolded, but there was no fabric on her face, so the place was just incredibly dark. Was this how her brother felt all those years? She shivered, thinking about how he must have felt, shackled away in those cellars, unable to do anything, unable to go anywhere. She thought about a world where she had found him, as she brought him up to the light. But that was not reality, was it? As she sat there, she didn't know for how long, until she felt something brush her shoulder. She blinked several times as she realized it was light. There was a seal that was preventing her from seeing anything, but now she could see. Next to her was a man that she hated. Her father, Minato Namikaze. smiled towards her. Her hair was messed up and now back to red. Obviously, while she was knocked out. He also removed the fake lenses, and now he could see her blue eyes. Katsumi-chan, don't worry, he said. Once the seal is removed, you'll be up and about. Until then, I'm afraid you have to stay here for a while. Your mom is gonna be happy when she sees you again. She spat right in his face. Let me go, you monster, she said. Let me go. My brother, he needs me. As she could not move her body, she was stuck. He won't ever harm you or anyone again. He's dead, I should know. I killed him, said Minato. But don't worry about it because you'll forget it all when I erase him away from your mind. But before that, can you tell me where Orochimaru is? All this time he has been using you. Tell me where he is so I can find him. As she spat again, but this time he tilted his head away. Never. Orochimaru-san will come and save me, she said. As he saved me once from you and that woman, he will save me again. And we will save brother once more. Wait, what did you say? You killed my brother? She screamed and flashed her head around. He had to place a seal on her head to make her sleep. Minato thought that she was just finding out about this. But Katsumi thought that he had killed her brother at the land of Hot Spring, where she just saw him. Minato had no idea that Naruto was alive after all. Seems I will really have to wipe her memory, he thought, as he walked out of the small, safe refuge. A small cottage outside the outskirts of the Inarine. Is it the girl was badly brainwashed by Orochimaru? After removing the cursed seal, he had to erase her memory of many things. Then he will have his daughter back. Her and her stupid ideas of saving her brother. The boy was dead, and he would not be coming back. The boy was dead. He saw it with his own eyes. The human path was out there waiting for him. Deidara and Sasori are on their way towards the sand to capture the Ichibai. As the human path kept on talking, Turn of the Snakes is hiding something. I followed his summons. They're stronger than normal. Well, he's from the land of iron. Let's not attack them, or we risk becoming international criminals instead of just a simple criminal organization. Well, he's all the way in Kumo. It will take ages for him to reach the sand, no matter his mean of travel. So I doubt he will connect us to the Akatsuki, or the real location of the Kyubi Jinjolke. We will have everything in our hands soon enough. With that, the human path made his way off, leaving Minato to his thoughts. Time skip at the hidden sand. Gaara was scribbling down a few notes for his sand shinobis. True, the finances were a bit dear, since Konoha seemed to take pride in taking the bigger paid missions, leaving the rest for them. But that did not matter with him. As long as he kept red-haired women with chains away from him, he would gladly do what they want him to do. Slowly, the door of his office opened as Kankuro entered. His left arm was in a sling. After Kushner had beat him down to shreds, he had lost mobility in his left arm. That meant he could only control puppets with one arm. But Gaara knew that was not the case though. Under that sling was a mechanical arm, which he could use to control at least 20 puppets at once. Not as strong as the Sorcerer of the Red Sand could, but he was Kankuro objective to surpass that man, and who say he could not? Hey Gaara, mind if I hide in here? Temari is surely bossy this time of the month, he said. Gaara nodded as Kankuro sat down as he pulled out his book. It was the Ichi Ichi series. Gaara recalled how things have changed. After that woman had nearly killed him, the Ichibai had made it clear to him, stay away from red-haired women with chains, and I'll let you go about your business. It was still cringing somewhere in Gaara's mind. Even after 3 years, it was marvelous. No voices in your head. It was just better. As there was a knock, Temari then entered. Pissed off, Kankuro flipped over the sofa and hid behind it. Where did that idiot go? He has team training exercises. I don't know, said Gaara, as he pointed toward the sofa, despite saying that he did not know. Oh, alright, she said. As she walked away, Kankuro sighed in relief as he looked up to see Temari looking down at him, his eyes wide as she grabbed him by the ear and dragged him out of the room. Then, he was once again peaceful. Behind him though, on a nearby rooftop, a hidden, blonde-haired woman was watching as she was covered by a deep layer of rock and dirt to hide from the patrols. She would later on move after realizing the Kazekage wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary, to slowly creep inside the house that she had taken in loan through the root contacts, where she, as a San Kunoichi, had retired because of a back injury, where she worked as a private escort to the businessman. He was the owner of the building that she lived into. He rented the house out to people, basically a shady motel. She didn't feel disgusted when the man had slapped her on the ass. He had a rather suggestive attitude, nor had she said anything when he had asked for sexual favors to seal a deal. But when he had tried to do something, she had taken off his head. As she placed his body away in one of the many rooms. As she went inside the room, she went to the bath. She had a liquid soap with her that could clean away scents. As she stepped under the cold water, as the voice once again spoke to her, I killed a man and I liked it. The taste of blood on my lips. Could you stop singing? It's distracting me, she said. No, you don't talk to me. So I'll sing until you do. You are just, I don't know. You're a voice. Stop being a voice. I am the Kyube, the strongest of all the Bijus. If this seal wasn't keeping me at bay, I would lash out at you. But come on, you have a nice body. And a nice rack. Go for sexy time. What? Sexy time. You know what sex is, right? The woman started to shake her head. Now, as you take 2 fingers as she shook her head. Stop it. I am Danzo's personal tool, and I am not. She started to bang her head against the wall as his voice kept on describing such things. There was a knock at the door as she stopped, as she let the murmurs of the voice go in the background. But they were still there, as she grabbed her kunai and made her way. As she slightly creeped open the door, Gaara looked towards the woman kunai, who stood naked in front of him. Kazekage-sama, Saki said, as she stepped back letting him enter. Saki-san, you're naked. Oh, right, she said, as she made her way off. Realizing that was not common courtesy to do again, as she made her way and got dressed, she came back. Kazekage-sama, is there something you need help with? I have accepted Danzo proposition for an alliance, but it will be kept secret between us. Nothing for the council to go over. They won't be a part of it. Yes, Kazekage-sama. I will use the usual means to get it back delivered. I was tasked here to stay as a secret guard, a sign of goodwill. Gaara nodded, but then he asked something. That jewel that you wear on your neck, he saw it when she was naked. But no, it was under her clothing. Was it a gift from someone? She went silent for a moment. She then replied, my teacher used to tell me my father gave it to me, and if I had not trained properly, it would have been taken away. The cursed seal did not do anything, as it was not important, vital information from Root. I have nothing else left of him. Strange, Gaara said. I recall seeing someone else wearing it. Who? Saki said, as she wondered could be her mystery father. A now dead man, said Gaara, as he turned to leave, leaving the confused Saki behind. Meanwhile, with Naruto sneezed, as he looked down towards Kuro. So, instead of summoning me in Kumo, you summoned me in the middle of this ocean, in the very cold water, so I can bypass Konoha and get you to the sun. As Naruto nodded, as the others were all on the back of the snake. You know I can feel you nod because of the ear vibration, but I'd rather hear you, said Kuro. You know you're making me take the long route around, and I hate long routes. Are you starting to grumble like the elderly? Should I get you some warm chicken soup? Chicken soup my skills. I am Kuro, the slipper in darkness, the biter of the apocalypse, not a damn taxi, though I could drop you right above the sun. You know, eardrop. Shoko blinked at that. Tell your summoned snake not to do that, Captain, please. I'm sure that Yakumo could genjutsu, a sort of parachute. A giant parachute, said Naruto. As Yakumo blinked, she had created a saddle that held her and Sakura down for dear life. Captain, I have a question, she said. Ask away, Yakumo-chan, he said. She was probably gonna die anyway, by the snake dropping her from those high heights, so it's better to ask now. Are you... As she muttered something at the end. What? He said. As she muttered something again. I can't hear you. Speak loudly, he said. Do you like someone? She shouted, as she slapped a hand over her mouth. No, and I won't, until everything is settled. Strangely, that settled the two girls' spirits, as Sakura and Yakumo breathed a sigh of relief. Shoko cursed about his frigid attitude. Mobi said nothing. Weeks later, at the land of Wind Desert. I can't believe it, Lan said Shoko, as she dropped to her knees, as she kissed the ground. As Sakura was clenching her fist tightly, as she marched over to him, as Yakumo looked rather, well, awkward and nervous, and red as well. Mobi said nothing. See, the sun is just a couple days away. Instead of 2 months, it took us only half. 2 weeks on the sneak. And there was no breaks, he just flew them there, slittering and flew them. And he didn't want to give them bathroom break. Tell your snakes not to bite me, as I repeatedly punch you, said Soccer. I do not have a death wish. And we also have company, he said, as Hikari and Yame sprouted from his side in a poof. Kuro poofed away to get some rest. Boss, both of the snakes said, you should call us in these warm places even more. We like the warm, as they fused with him, as Naruto underwent sage mode, as his scales covered his cheeks. What are you doing trespassing on the sand territory? A blonde woman defending her back said, as she had a small chunin of a team behind her. I am Turn of the Snakes, tracker of the Iron Lands. I need to speak with your Ichiban Jinchuriki, he said, as he pulled out the scroll from his jacket. What proof do you have that in an instant he was behind her? The fact that I could kill you. And not bother to lie, he said, as a drop of sweat fell from Temari's forehead. His speed was just ridiculous. As he stepped back, she turned towards him. Why the Kunoichis? They were chosen by their respective Kages to help in the hunt. Of me hunting the Kyuubi Jinchuriki, he said. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki? If I recall correctly, he's dead. Yes, he did die. But since the Kyuubi hasn't reappeared yet, it has been resealed. There's a crime signet going around, known as the Akatsuki, that is hunting down Bijus. For some reason unknown, they can probably bring me to where the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is. Temari blinked. She had to have misunderstood what he was trying to say. Do you intend to use Gaara because the Kage has bait? Are you stupid, said Tarna. Or perhaps you're brain damaged. A tick mark appeared on her forehead. I said I need to speak with the Ichiban Jinchuriki. So move your feet one after another and bring us here before I decide that you need a medical checkup and a colonoscopy. As he moved, as her fist went through the air where his face once was, as he dodged once again. A feisty one, as he ducked. But you're not gonna hit me, as he grabbed her hand. So, let's get this over with, shall we? Fine, she spat at his feet. Follow me, Tarna. I can't believe you're actually an ass. One of her favorite authors was such an ass she couldn't believe it. Sakura and Yakumo did not say anything, while Shoko right down that she needed to teach him some manners. One of these days, it was clear that he lost it somewhere, as Mabe said nothing, as they were brought back to the village. Is he that big of a bastard even with you? One of the sad ninjas said, towards the Kunoichis, as they saw him checking out Temari when she was not looking. Sakura knew that he was not doing it because he was a pervert, but he wanted to pass like one. It was strange. He could switch from one person to another so swiftly. It was like he was ready for any situation. Even worse, said Shoko. You wouldn't believe what he had us do to get here. In a quick amount of time, she said, we showered with the rain. What? The Kunoichi of the Sand team shouted. The man was definitely a pervert, and being on a team with all Kunoichis, he must be peeping every now and then. He's hard pressed, Yakumo said, trying to defend him a bit, although she was pissed off at him as well. Akatsuki risks attacking and going to hiding again. We simply must find and lead to the Kyuubi. She and Sakura both knew that missions would not end until the Kyuubi Jinchuriki is found and returned back to Kumo. So the Kazekage is here, risking his life while we're talking. Calm down, Matsuri, Temari said. The Kazekage would not be defeated by a mere criminal organization, and he's in the village protected by the very best shinobis of the Land of Wind. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, at the stand, Art is an explosion! As the man was releasing bombs all over the city, Gaara stood on top of a large building looking at the man, as Saki stood behind him with her Tonto in hand, as the Kazekage was not doing anything. Shouldn't you stop him? Saki asked. The village is being evacuated, said Gaara. I see no reason to give away my position until I can get him in range, said Gaara, as he watched the man flowing. Would you like me to bring him in range? Saki asked. As another building crumbled after a clay bird exploded against it. If you wish, said Gaara, as Saki nodded, as she jumped down off the rooftop. She pulled out a seal and unsealed crossbow, as she aimed it towards the man in fire, while yelling fire style, indent. Flames surrounded the bolt, as the man turned and saw it as he threw a bird that swooped down and exploded against the flames. My! Finally someone wished to fight me. As the man looked down towards a small roof where he saw the figure, Saki said nothing as she jumped back, avoiding the explosions that dropped down towards her. She placed another bolt in the crossbow, as she fired again, as she fired 3 miniature fireballs from her mouth. as they weren't even coming at him as Deidara ignored them. As he created another bird to swoop down on the boat. "I'm growing bored with this game, little girl," he said. As he looked towards her, the explosion went off, blocking his view. He then felt something as he looked up. He had to jump off his bird. The 3 fireballs came down and struck his bird. As he was falling from mid-air, the hand in the center of his arm started through. As a small bird came out. Cuts! As it grew big. As he landed on top of it, it flapped its wings. But the moment that happened, he was grabbed by a giant sand arm and slammed into the ground. But then he exploded, showing that was a fake as a real one, burst out from its hiding spot. As he dropped something, a clay sculpture, as it went up in size. "You see here, Master Sasori," he said, "art is an explosion." Cuts! As Gar brought his hand up, but the explosion was big enough to blow the building that he was standing on to pieces, then knocked him down towards ground level. As Saki was thrown as she crashed into a building that collapsed on her. As she was alive, but in bad shape. All 5 stories of the building crushed down on her. "Did you take the number of that train?" said Grandma. Saki blinked. "Train? What's a train?" "I saw one in Land of Frost once with your father, you know." The Kyubi chuckled. She had found a way to have the girl talk to her. Danzo's plan was smart, giving them something and telling them that it was from their father. And if they mess up, it would be taken away. It would make them strive for protection. You knew my father this entire time? And you did not tell me?" "No, you're lying. I told you I saw him getting trashed at the side of the hospital, didn't I?" "Yes, but you told me he came from your gang, Chuck, remember?" "Well, you see, I was split in half, but then I was reunited in one. And your father, hell, my other half. And you told me nothing till now? Why should I? You weren't good enough to know. And you were not good enough. And you're still not." "Who's my mother then, huh?" The Kyubi snorted at that. But then the Kyubi gave an answer. "Ah, a certain Uncle Midarashi, of course." Meanwhile, Uncle sneezed. Saki froze. Uncle Midarashi is her mother? She didn't know if the fox was just toying with her, or if the fox was telling the truth. But she had clearly failed to protect the Kazakage, and she could not go back to root. Her necklace would be taken away. But it was the only home that she knew. I beg to differ. I mean, such a grown-up girl like you can do wonders on your own. Like, well, removing the seal from my cage. And I'll tell you where your mother is. Removing the seal kills me. No, you're lying to me. I'm not listening to you anymore." She had more than enough information. She would just have to research this Uncle Midarashi. Meanwhile, Deidara was able to take Gara out as he captured him. "Sasori-san, you see? Art is nothing but a second, a flash, an explosion. I got him. Let's move. Art is forever, like a puppet. No, it's an explosion. Forever. An explosion. Forever. An explosion." As the both of them cursed at each other. As they were moving off, Sasori activated the traps that he left behind. All the shinobis that were trying to pursue them were stopped instantly. Meanwhile, at Kumo's prison, Karen stood, her hand shackled to her feet, as she decided whether to kill the man or not. Turn of the Snakes was a bastard, that much was sure, but he was also hot. But he was a hot bastard, with a kind smile, a wonderful attitude, but he was also arrogant and conceited. But he's so hot, she thought, her cheeks turning red, but also a damn bastard. As she looked towards the photo of Turner. "You shouldn't have left me here, you hot bastard," as she kicked at it. "You said that you were going to kill Kabuto and protect me from Orochimaru, but you call imprisonment protection. But if I was protected by your body, I mean," as she started to blush and act crazy. The guard outside shook his head. As he pointed towards his head, she was clearly insane. As his colleague simply shrugged, before pointing towards the other one, strapped to a chair, her arms bound. Her mouth gagged was Tiwaya, who was fuming. She wanted to curse so badly. It was driving her crazy since she was captured. The Toad Sonny had placed her curse mark on their cheek, trying to get information out of her by tickling her with the feathers. He was basically torturing her for information. Why didn't he go and ask Karen, who was basically thinking about having babies with the man that had brought them here in this prison? She, on the other hand, was gonna drive a blade right through his ass next time she meet him. If she ever saw that man turn of snakes ever again, she was gonna make him suffer. Well then, I guess I have to offer Karina, underwear to Karen-chan, said Jiraiya. As Karen overheard that, mine, it's mine, she yelled. As Jiraiya pulled the cell, waving goodbye towards Teiwaya. The moment he came in though, Karen bit him right on the ankle. As he fell over, paralyzed. She then launched herself outside the cell, as she rushed towards Teiwaya. Before the other two guards could react, and with a quick movement she tore away the ball gag from her mouth, as Teiwaya started to whistle, stopping the guards. As their body went to limp, under her control, to free her, Jiraiya cursed as he felt the poisonous chakra coursing through his veins. My chakra is pretty special, it can heal, and it also can poison, she said, with a smirk on her face, as the guards unshackled her. Teiwaya whistled and summoned a Doki that broke the wall. I need a flute if I want it to be done better. Doki was only half summoned, the rest of it was spectral like a ghost, and it wasn't quite as strong, but he was able to break the wall. I'm sure we can come up with something once we report back to Orochimaru-sama. As they left the village, without getting hassled one bit. Once they were gone, Jiraiya got back to his feet, as he seemed perfectly calm. As he had a parchment, it was like a compass, with a pink dot was on, directing him right towards them, with that seal that he placed on Teiwaya's neck. They fell right in his trap, and now they were gonna lead him right towards Orochimaru, as Anko appeared, so they finally took the bait. Let's get ready to kill that snake ass. Yes, they will take us to him, Jiraiya said, and then, his tone almost sounds sorrowful. I will kill my ex-teammate. But guys, it'll be in episode right here. If you want the next person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.